Hello, and welcome to Series 1 of Managing OneDrive by Northwest Remote Offices. In this video, we're going to talk about how to properly set up your organizational settings on OneDrive so that you can accurately and properly control permissions and file level access for all of your employees. The way we do this by recommendation is to manage by department to begin with, and then manage by employee and create granular permissions. To start off with, we're going to go ahead and log in to our OneDrive account. To do that, you want to open up your browser and browse to portal.office365.com, or you can go to onedrive.com and log in through there. In this case, we're going to go ahead and log into the Northwest Remote Offices organizational account. And in our instance, we're using ADFS. It's Active Directory Federation Services. This allows single sign-on capability to Office 365 and other services. In our instance, we're also using multi-factor authentication. So on a mobile device, I'm going to go ahead and approve the sign-in and continue forward. Once you're in here, you want to click on OneDrive. And that's going to take you to maintain and manage all of your OneDrive documents. Now, as you can see in here, the first thing I see when I log in is I see my documents. Now, these are documents that only I have visibility and access to, and this is kind of the way you want to keep it. Each individual has a 1 terabyte OneDrive limit, and that's where you store your files. That's what you would use every day to work to complete your job duties. Now, if you want to create files to share within the organization and not have them tied to a particular individual, and the reason why this is important is you don't want to tie any company-wide documents to a single person. If that person were to leave on good terms or bad terms, now you're stuck in a position where you have to either maintain their account or have somebody go in and clean up the files and move them to a library or to another individual, in which case the shared links also may be potentially broken as well. In this case, to set up a organization-wide library, on the left-hand side, you want to click Shared Library. In here, you want to create the library name, and we're going to just say Test Shared Library. So the privacy settings you want to set to private, only members can access the site. This is really, really important. If you choose public, anyone in the organization can not only access the SharePoint library, they can access the files and any other content you put in here. Each library does come with a group email address, and this digs a little bit deeper, which we'll talk about in a later session. And we'll show you how to use Office 365 groups, which are very, very powerful across all devices, from Windows machines to Macs to mobile devices. I'm going to go ahead and click Next, make sure our privacy settings are correct. And in here is where you assign your initial set of permissions. In our case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make myself the owner, and I'm going to add Ricky, who's our client services manager here at Northwest, as a member. What this is telling me is that I am the owner of this site, and my account can never go away, and Ricky, a member, has temporary permissions. And we like to call temporary permissions because, again, at any point in time you could revoke those permissions from Ricky. I'm going to go ahead and click Finish. Okay, so now we have our test shared library created. It's a private group, and there are some things happening in the back end. What's happening now is Microsoft is actually inviting all the members and all the owners into this group, and they're actually going to see this in their Office 365 Outlook client. Currently, it doesn't show on the mobile device, but it will show on the desktop Outlook, and we'll show you that in this series as well. Now, to manage these documents, you want to click on Documents, and now you see them in here. There's currently nothing, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pick a couple, and we're going to go ahead and move some files in here. So let me just go ahead and find a couple of documents. I'm going to go ahead and move our logo in here, just so we have some data. So I dragged and dropped, and if I click on here, I can see the status of the uploads. and they're done. Okay, so far we made a shared library, we've invited a member, and we've signed consistent ownership. The next step is to bring this onto our desktop device. To do that, you want to go ahead and open OneDrive. And here, it's going to prompt you to log in. So we're going to go ahead and log in with the same account we logged into Portal. And you'll notice with ADFS and multi-factor authentication, the sign-in experience is very much alike. We're going to go ahead and click Next. Since this PC is an organizational PC, there was no ADFS prompt on OneDrive. It uses Windows impersonation. We're able to go ahead and bypass and get past all of these settings. Hit Next, Later, and let's go ahead and open up this folder. So here's our OneDrive folder, and if you see, the first thing that we see in here is we're able to see the private files that belong to myself. Again, this is very important because you have work that belongs to you that you don't want the organization seeing. Now, of course, if you want to share something, you're welcome to go in here. You can right-click and you can share using OneDrive. So it's not completely locked to you, but it is by default, and it's kind of where you want to start off. Next thing to do is, now while you have this portal still open on the test shared library, click the sync button and click Open Microsoft Drive. And now we get this alert. You are now syncing the test shared library documents. If we go back to our Windows Explorer, you'll see what popped up on the left-hand side. We now have access to organizational documents under Northwest Remote Offices. So here's our test shared library. To do this, we're going to do this again with an existing library, just to show that existing ones can be added and brought back in. So let's go ahead and open up Administrative. And we're going to go down to Documents. And we're going to go ahead and click Sync. Open Microsoft OneDrive. And now if we go back, we can see that under Northwest Remote Offices, we now have two very distinct libraries, Administrative and Test Shared Library. Now these two libraries are properly set up to be shared with one individual or the entire organization. If you need help getting your OneDrive properly configured and your documents secured, please give us a call at Northwest Remote Offices, www.nwremoteoffices.com.